Hey, hon, do you know what Popeye was known for?
Eating spinach?
Yes, but do you know how he liked to eat his spinach?
How did Popeye like to eat his spinach?
With olive oil.
Oh my goodness. Hi and welcome. We're so glad you're here today. And I'm Holly from Suburban Life Permaculture. And today we're going to talk all about this amazing ground cover. It's longevity spinach. And number one that you have to know about it, it's not a true spinach. You just can treat it like any other regular spinach that you use. The benefits of it kind of goes along with its name. It's called longevity spinach, and it's really, really super good for you. So I did a lot of research. I want you to do your own research, but I'll go ahead and put a link in the description just so that you have it. So let's talk about its place in the food forest. Um, for the most part, it would prefer to be along the ground, and in fact, which of course you can't see because it's way up here, but where the nodes are, if it's along the ground, they'll actually throw down roots and become quite secure in that area. It will also vine, but not in a traditional viney sense. You know how it has those little tendrils that go out and grab onto things. You can train it to grow vertically though. So if you have some sort of trellising or lattice, you could train it to do that and see how that works for you. But it really truly will prefer to go along the ground, but it has absolutely no problem shooting up either. What it prefers, and as you can see, this is a lot more shaded, it will prefer the shade. In fact, if you're looking for something you can grow in the shade, this is it. It's happily growing here in full shade. It barely gets some sun, and it's super duper happy. But it can also grow in full sun. It's just not as happy. And I would say its happier place is where it can get a little bit of a balance there for a partial shade situation. But everybody's yard is different. Everybody's area is different. I grow this in many different areas. I went ahead and put some, if you remember, in our mulberry guild, and it just happened to be when we suddenly got this heat dome, and it's super sad over there, but it's still growing. So while it's still trying to establish itself, it's still, again, that super resilient kind of plant. So I would experiment. That's why I make tons of cuttings. One, because we really love using the spinach, and it's really good for you. I like to give out plants to my friends and family. So, and then I can experiment. So like I said, I've got this in a whole lot of different places. So as you can see, we have several trellises up here in the front yard. We just want to be able to grow things vertically as well as horizontally. So all I do to train it is I take this little guy and pull it gently here, right on through. Now longevity spinach is a zone 9 through 11 perennial. What that would mean for everybody else is that it would be an annual anywhere else. And my recommendation is always, even with us, it's a zone 9 we're in. I still make cuttings, baby them over the colder months, and then I have them in case anything has died out in the food forest, or I want to go ahead and plant more in the food forest. So whether you're in a zone 7 or 8, and you want to do something similar, because most likely it will die unless you're having a really mild winter. I would say just hedge your bets. If you're in zone 9 or 11, probably not so much in 11 as in zone 9A. But if you're in another zone, just treat it as an annual, but you can you make cuttings and then just baby them over the winter, and you've got these plants ready to go as soon as conditions are great. So in Florida, it's hard to grow greens in the heat of the summer. Most things will bolt that you can grow over the winter. So longevity spinach is a really good green, super healthy for you, that is, once it's established, it is really drought and heat tolerant. And as you can see, goes quite crazy. This is all from some cuttings that I made last year, and we babied them over the winter, and it is absolutely going crazy. So there's a couple of different ways that you can harvest this. You can either cut off the little tips, and that's how a lot of people will just eat these little tender pieces. But we enjoy the bigger leaves as well as the little tender tips. We saute them, we use them, even the big ones, right? In fact, Joe and I recently took these bigger leaves and we had some chicken salad, and we put some chicken salad in there, and we just rolled them up, made like a little wrap, popped them in our mouths. Super yummy. So experiment with the plant and how you like to eat it. The other way would be using your food forest forage mindset. So just to remind you what that is just to go ahead and only take no more than a third of the plant. So when I do this, I'm actually kind of looking for where the little leaves are popping up, and I get the leaf that is on top of that. And the reason I do this is I have actually observed, so this is totally observation only, I'm not a botanist, I have observed that if these grow up, so there's a little shoot here, I'm going to go ahead and show you. So see, these were where I went ahead and cut leaves. I harvested them, and you can see these will shoot up. And in the end, what will happen with these is, you can see here, I'm going to lift this up, right? This is where the plant actually grew up, and then as it got heavy, because again, it really wants to crawl across the ground, and these shoot up from that. So that leaf, that little area here, if it's able to, it's actually going to shoot up, so then it can go down, grow along the ground some more. It's just the way it wants to move around the food forest. What we're going to do right now is I'm going to show you about making cuttings. You can see this here is what I cut off earlier, just to give you a little sample. Part of what I cut off was, you can actually leave just a part of the leaf rather than this bigger leaf up here. So I just harvested part of that. We want to give it enough so that it can get enough food, while also helping it go through less shock. So what we're looking at here, I just wanted enough of the nodes. So these little bumps, that's where the leaves go, or where the leaves are on, those are nodes. I want to have at least 2 nodes under the ground. I'm going to take this and just make sure those 2 nodes at the very least are under the ground. I want to maximize places that it can take the root out of. Now another thing I want to point out is that, so see, this is where the node is. I'm going to actually cut off that part because it's just going to rot. Nothing wrong with leaving it there, but I'd like to just give it that best chance. So you see 1, 2 nodes, and then we're going to show Shove it in the pot. And I usually don't have too much trouble getting them to root. They'll also root in water, but I actually have better chances of them rooting in the soil, although sometimes I get really busy and I have to just do a lot of harvesting because it goes crazy and I have to clean it up. So then I'll throw them in water until I can go ahead and put them in pots. So whatever works for you. It's pretty resilient. I still have some that don't work. No big deal. You can make a lot of cuttings here. Just make sure you have, I try to make that when I cut it, I try to make sure I have about 6 nodes, maybe 5, whatever works for you, but I prefer to have at least 5, and I make sure at least 2 go under the ground, and then I have a few popping up, and then as it starts growing leaves, I know it is going to be a viable plant. One way you can propagate this plant. Another way is through seed. Now this is what the harvested seeds look like. They look like little fluff balls, and there goes some seeds right now. Guess what? The worst case scenario, I have more plants. That's part of how you can get volunteer plants, is that they just come up from those seeds. I've never actually had to use the seeds. I collect them just in case I need them, but I make so many through cuttings that I've never had to worry about the seeds. Do you have a favorite plant that you use as both food and medicine? Go ahead and share that with us in the comments below. And I don't care if you like, subscribe, or share. You do you, although we do appreciate when you do. Carpe diem, y'all.